Good morning. As a quorum is present, the subcommittee will come to order. The clerk will open the roll and all members are asked to indicate their presence in the electronic voting system. The clerk will close the roll. This morning we have 16 bills on our docket. Yeah. In an effort to afford patrons more time to perfect their bill language, we have received requests to pass certain bills by for the day, and I'm going to read those numbers aloud. We have House Bill 457, House Bill 1234, House Bill 787, House Bill 778, and House Bill 1212.
Move that those go by for the day.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? The bills are by for the day. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, but I don't know if viewers who are watching us electronically can see the screen. I just do want to flag. Okay, great. I just want to flag that for you all. Okay, well, we also are going to strike a bill from the docket at the request of the patron, and that will be House Bill 1214, patroned by Delegate Fagans.
So moved.
Second. That's a recorded vote. 214. 214. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 214 is stricken from the docket by a vote of 9-0. And now we are on to today's legislation. We'll typically go in numerical order, but I know that so many people are trying to be in so many different places at the same exact time. So we will start with Leader Herring. Leader Herring, House Bill 711.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to committee members. This bill fosters cooperation between localities and solar developers by providing clear and consistent guidelines for solar projects statewide while preserving local autonomy to make final decisions on project siting. The General Assembly must act to reform our state's renewable energy siting process. Failure to do so will result in Virginia being forced to rely on fossil fuels and the need to build 7 new natural gas plants and associated pipelines over the next 15 years. Local bans and arbitrary project denials for solar are leading to a precipitous decline in project approvals, threatening Virginia's energy affordability, reliability, security, and inhibiting landowner rights. Facilitating cooperation between localities, landowners, and developers will ensure that Virginia remains a good place to do business and help us to attract and retain technology companies and businesses that demand access to affordable renewable energy. Madam Chair, this bill may look familiar. It was patroned by Delegate Candy Munden King, and it did pass a House of Delegates. But there is a substitute, Madam Chair.
Move the committee substitute? Second. Or, sorry, would someone like to move the committee substitute? Ready to help.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what changed from the 2025 version and with the substitute? What it does, it allows localities to continue permitting certain solar projects by right or through a siting agreements if they choose to do so. It affirmatively states that localities can still deny projects and clarifies that they can negotiate variances with the developer if desired. It adjusts setbacks to protect wetlands and accommodates smaller projects. It adds clearer language for grading and erosion control, while specific reference to relevant DEQ regulations. It removes redundant code and adds decommissioning update into the code where it was established in 2019. It provides for including increased value of recycled solar equipment when calculating the decommissioning costs, and it clarifies that a solar facility proposed shall be considered instead of permitted pursuant to the code sections unless otherwise permitted by right, ensuring that local authority is preserved. It collects data on project denials at the local level and reasons for the denials. It clarifies that by right siting policies may remain in place, and it strengthens the wetland protections by establishing a high standard for buffer areas consistent with the Chesapeake Bay Protection Act for solar projects across the Commonwealth, and it establishes a grandfathering clause that ensures existing investments are protected and clarifies the timeline for applicability of new standards and localities. So again, Madam Chair, the bill does amend Virginia Code Section 15.2. I want to just make sure everyone understands what the bill does not do. It does not implement state preemption. Localities can still deny a project if the Board of Supervisors determines that the project is not right for their community. If a locality reviews a solar project and it meets the standards, the community still may deny the project for other reasons, as opposed to a full preemption. This bill provides consistency and predictability, which allows developers to work with landowners, the locality, and other stakeholders to build projects to a high standard of excellence. The bill certainly does not completely resolve our energy crisis. We've still got a lot of work to do in that area. The bill does ensure that every solar project in Virginia will be a good project. It sets the project standards, ensuring communities can trust the solar facilities are well designed and responsibly managed. All the project standards are backed by evidence and facts. The bill provides predictability and consistency for developers and communities, and it sets best practices and standards. You will see in the bill there is a project siting requirements, project aesthetic requirements, such as fencing and protected height, project impacts, we address soil retention and stormwater management, and a project end of life. Again, comprehensive decommissioning plans will be in place. And then there is a project workforce protections, including prevailing wage and apprenticeships on certain projects. With that, I hope that you pass the bill.
Thank you, Madam Leader. Are there any questions or comments from members of the subcommittee at this time? Delegate Cohen.
Thank you very much, and appreciate you bringing this. I recently had an experience of trying to carry somebody else's passion project, so thank you. I just wanted to ask, I thought I saw somewhere that this was also a recommendation of the Commission on Electric Utility Regulation?
Yes, it is. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll now hear public testimony. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in favor of the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Sarah Graham Taylor on behalf of Merrick Action. Our executive director is online, but I just wanted to quickly thank the patron for carrying this bill. Again, picking up from Candy Munden King, Delegate Munden King last session, a recommendation of sewer. We do not believe that this is a magic bullet that is going to solve affordability and reliability and getting more clean energy on the grid, but it is an important step forward to getting more projects cited, more good projects cited, while still protecting landowner rights and local authority. So we appreciate your consideration. Hope you'll pass the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Ryan O'Toole of Freedom, Virginia. We're an affordability-focused organization, and one of the best ways for us to promote affordable energy is to get more of the cheapest cost energy out there, which is solar. That's what this bill does, and we hope you support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Patrick Cushing on behalf of the American Clean Power Association. We're a national trade association of solar, wind, storage developers, and public utilities. We support the bill. Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Victoria Higgins, Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. We see this as an incredibly reasonable step to get more clean energy online more quickly. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Josephus Allman with the Southern Environmental Law Center. We thank the patron for bringing this bill. This is an important step to help us meet our clean energy goals while still retaining local authority over projects. We hope you support the bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jay Ford with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. We worked actively with these stakeholders since last year. That is reflected in this draft. They were more than willing to make some accommodations to make sure that projects were protective of wetlands and our tributaries and waterways. On top of that, localities still can do what they would like with these projects, but we're very grateful to them for where we landed. We think this is an important step to accelerate solar in the Commonwealth, and we hope you'll support the bill.
Thank you. We have one individual online who wishes to speak in support of the bill. Mr. Vaughn.
Good morning. My name is Evan Vaughn. I'm Executive Director of the Mid-Atlantic Renewable Energy Coalition. I also want to thank the sponsor, Leader Herring, and to say that what the previous speakers have said is correct. This bill will accelerate solar deployment, though it's not a magic bullet. It will retain local control. Our developers value the relationship with localities, and we think that this bill establishing clear standards will help us have a more informed dialogue with localities to get better projects and protect landowner rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of the bill?
Madam Chair, Joe Lurch with the Virginia Association of Counties. And just to note, we just got the substitute, so we're looking over it. But as we expressed our concerns at the Commission on Electric Utility Regulation, it is prescribing kind of a one-size-fits-all, whether it's a 1 megawatt project, a 100 megawatt project. They vary in size from several acres to square miles. There's also differences in geography and physiogeographic provinces across the Commonwealth. And so our members just want to retain that ability to craft those ordinances and craft those agreements at the local level. One thing I do want to point out, last year, and this is on the Weldon Cooper UVA database, it was the second most amount of megawatts that counties and cities across the Commonwealth have approved, over 2,000 megawatts, and 16,000 going back to 2013. So I just wanted to let you know that our counties are working with developers to review these projects in a timely manner, and they're getting approved. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Dan Holmes speaking on behalf of Piedmont Environmental Council. Appreciate the patron's intent. However, I just wanted to mention a few concerns. If this was about correcting an issue with local governments not allowing this use in their ordinances, the legislation would simply say that these uses should be allowed for by special exception and stop there, not lay out a series of standards and other things that localities should stay within. Best management standards should involve all stakeholders, not just those that are, many of which are just predisposed to agree with the industry on these issues. They should be developed by state agencies involving all stakeholders. Our state agencies are the subject matter experts on these issues, not the industry. Lastly, this is the first time I've seen a bill that is so heavy-handed with regard to placing a large amount of text of what is essentially county code in our state code. So for all those reasons and several others, Piedmont Environmental Council respectfully opposes the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We also appreciate the patron's intent on this bill, and we also support that we need to work on the energy issue here in Virginia. We're very supportive of many other solar initiatives, renewable energy initiatives, but we have very similar concerns to the previous two speakers. So for those reasons, we are opposed at this time, but be open to conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do not have anyone online who wishes to speak in opposition. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair, may I just make just one note for the committee? There is an enactment language that talks about the applicability for, and you'll see it's the mention of 1 megawatt or more. So I realize that they just got the substitute, but it addresses some of those concerns.
Thank you, Leader.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Moorfield.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, a question for council. So I just want to clarify that this would only apply to localities where zoning has been implemented. Is that correct? Local zoning has been implemented.
Madam Chair, I'm Madam Chair, I'm looking for the provision. Madam Chair, I don't see the express language, but the entire framework talks about special exceptions and anticipates the localities dealing with their zoning ordinance. So yes, if the locality did not have a zoning ordinance, this wouldn't apply.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Delegate Simons.
Madam Chair, move to report as substituted.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 711. The clerk will open the roll. Oh, sorry, to report with substitute. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 711 reports with substitute in the form of an amendment on a vote of 7-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have House Bill 277.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I do have a substitute for HB 277.
Anyone like to move the committee substitute?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the substitute is before us. Delegate?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when a Virginian dials 911 or receives an emergency alert, or when first responders are coordinating during a crisis, reliable wireless connectivity can mean the difference between life and death. HB 277 ensures that our wireless infrastructure can keep pace with rapidly growing demand, quickly, safely, and with minimal disruption. This substitute prioritizes co-location, allows providers to add, remove, or replace equipment on existing towers and rooftops as well, rather than building new sites. This is the fastest and least intrusive way to expand coverage and improve network reliability. As technology evolves, these routine upgrades are increasingly necessary, yet today they often face inconsistent requirements, unnecessary delays, and excessive fees, even when there is no meaningful change to the physical footprint of a facility. HB 277 creates a clear, uniform process for reviewing these modifications. The substitute, Madam Chair, sets reasonable guardrails. It limits denials to cases where requirements are not met, restricts documentation requests to what is actually relevant, caps fees at actual administrative costs, and establishes a predictable 60-day review timeline consistent with long-standing federal standards that have worked for decades. Madam Chair, I hope it is the will of the committee to pass this bill.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from members of the subcommittee at this time? Seeing none, is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Heidi Cook with Old Dominion Public Affairs. I'm here this morning on behalf of the Wireless Infrastructure Association in support of the bill. We believe that this bill streamlines the process and makes it easier to create better access for constituents. We thank the patron for working with us on language. And I would also like to call out that we have Carmen Rajamani with WIA in support on virtual testimony and here to answer any technical questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Crandall. I'm here on behalf of CTIA. We are the Wireless Industry Trade Association. As background, we represent a wide range of wireless industry stakeholders, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, American Tower, and device manufacturers. I'll just say this bill is designed to respond to what is overwhelming demand for more wireless services, and happy to answer any technical questions you all may have. We are supportive of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carmen Rajamani, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Just turn on.
Let's see. Hi.
Hello. The floor is yours for
Okay. So good morning, and thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Carmen Rajamani, and I'm speaking on behalf of WIA, that we are the trade association for wireless infrastructure companies, tower companies, and wireless carriers as well. We support House Bill 277 for a couple of reasons. First, it does follow the federal rules, and it follows many municipalities. I think many municipalities in Virginia do have codes that deal with co-locations on macro towers is what we're talking about. And just to bring uniformity across the state, that it makes sense that what we're asking is for what we call co-locations, where you have an existing site and you put on a new piece of equipment to provide additional service for a carrier that's there or to add new service. It allows administrative process for a site that a municipality has already approved and found to be useful, and it speeds co-location, that 80% of new facilities that are added are on existing sites. And so the bill just makes it clear and provide guidance to local municipalities that administrative process to add equipment to an existing site that's already approved is permitted. And I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition? And we do not have anyone listed online in opposition. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Move to report as substituted.
Second.
There's a motion to report. Was second. The bill was substitute. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 277 reports on a vote of 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you. Next up, we have Delegate Reed. Delegate Carr, you'll be next.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the subcommittee, and good morning. So House Bill 1130 before you addresses one of the issues that you're going to hear about on a regular basis throughout this session, and that's related to workforce and affordable housing. So just to kind of put this in perspective, there is currently a rental shortage in Virginia of somewhere between 200 and 230,000 rental units across the entire Commonwealth, and that problem is growing by about 10 to 15,000 units annually. So what this particular piece of legislation does is that it tries to address one particular portion of that, which is to allow localities or school systems to be able to use excess surplus property that is not being used for other purposes or instructional needs to be able to work with housing authorities, nonprofit organizations, or private developers to create dedicated workforce housing for their specific employees. And it goes about that through establishing certain parameters in the first section that says how it will happen, 99-year lease so that the actual property remains within the public domain. In the second section, it defines that we're not going to have excessively large lots. These are going to be small lots for the purposes of starter rental units, and they have to be built to a specific standard. And then the third section actually also kind of borrows and builds upon the legislation that we passed yesterday from Delegate Maldonado, which permits the use of modular homes. One of the things that we've talked about, and when we've been talking about energy, is the use of using small modular reactors, because those can be built in a factory more efficiently to a quality standard. And when we're talking about modular homes that are on a fixed foundation, that's what we're talking about. And this happens all over the Commonwealth right now. We just want to make it allowable by right. And this is one of those things that I'd like to close with, and then I will take any of your questions. This problem is not going to solve itself. And as I mentioned earlier, We're at about 230,000 shortage in rental units now. The problem's getting 10 to 15,000 worse every year. And so if we need to take decisive action about how to proceed. Otherwise, we will all be back here again, and this problem will have gotten worse in another year. So, Madam Chair, that's the legislation before you, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any questions or comments from members of the subcommittee at this time? Seeing none. Oh, my apologies. Delegate Hodges?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I see you in the queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mentioned excess or surplus land.
Yes, Madam Chair.
When you mentioned that, you were saying, all right, this land is not being used and so forth, but what would prevent them from saying, all right, we want to buy this plot of land to be able to do this?
Madam Chair, so you bring up a really good point, Delegate Hodges, because there are some localities who actually have property that they acquired for the purposes of, let's just say, for a school system. And then they have used it for instructional purposes. They're not using it for particular growth. They're not using it for athletic, but they have additional property that is available that they could use for this. And I remember when this legislation was first being discussed, someone from Botetourt County actually reached out to me and said, we don't have surplus property now, but if we could afford to buy it, could we then use that? There's nothing in this legislation that would prohibit a locality working with the school system to be able to then purchase property and be able to build workforce housing.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Randy Grumbine, representing the Virginia Manufactured and Modular Housing Association. We are in support of the initiative to provide more affordable workforce housing, and so for those reasons, we support this bill.
Thank you. And we do not have anyone listed online who wishes to speak in support. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, and we do not have anyone listed online. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Comment on the bill?
Oh, Delegate Moorfield? Okay, sorry. Delegate Simons.
I want to thank the patron. I think this could be really useful. I know that in Newport News Public Schools, we have a lot of extra land, so I think you're lining up a lot of really good needs. And with that, I move to report.
Do you have a second? Do we have a second?
A second. A second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 1130. The clerk will open the roll and members will record their vote in the electronic voting system. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 1130 reports on a vote of 7-1.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the subcommittee.
Delegate Carr.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Good morning.
HB 802 is a programmatic change to assist localities in better managing vacant properties and urban blight. This legislation gives localities the authority by ordinance to require contact information for owners or registered agents of vacant or derelict properties. In Richmond, there are cases of urban blight where homes are out of compliance, but the owners cannot be contacted. This also creates issues when documents need to be served to such owners. This legislation will simply assist the City of Richmond and other localities who choose to participate in managing their cases of active blight. I believe representatives from the City of Richmond are here to speak to the bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm Rachel Heitman with the Department of Housing and Community Development at the City of Richmond. The City of Richmond thanks the patron for bringing this bill. This bill ensures that registered agents, in addition to owners, are required to register their vacant buildings on an annual basis. This ensures that localities can remedy vacant and blighted properties. The City of Richmond supports this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none. Oh, Delegate Hodges?
Yep, not quite. Trying to phrase this. So, I mean, and thank you, Madam Chair. Dealing with heirs property. I mean, that's a big problem in, in our rural areas where we have, the mom and dad that passed away. They have 5 kids. There's all ownership. They don't want to sell the property. And it sits there and it eventually deteriorates. In that situation, how does that bill actually apply to that situation?
My assumption would be that they would be able to contact the heirs. We've had this kind of situation in our district also, and somebody died, and there were 5 heirs. So it's a contact, but the city was not able to contact them because they didn't have the information to be able to contact them.
And Madam Chair, I guess would each heir, then have to be contacted in that situation? Because we run into problems where the septic system's failed. And Cousin Sally may still live in the house, but the septic tank won't get fixed because no one wants to pay for that and so forth. Or, if no one's living there and there's some problems and issues, contacting each of those heirs can be quite a task.
I don't know, Madam Chairman, I don't know why they couldn't contact one heir in the case of the septic tank, but I'm not an expert. Here.
Yeah, just speaking to these details, Madam Chair, what I would say to the member is that...
Can you state your name for the record?
Yes, I'm sorry, Ruth Morrison, also at the City of Richmond. Thank you. The details of the bill indicate an owner or their registered agent. And the importance of Delegate Carr's bill is including the registered agent in addition. A challenge we've had, and I'm sure other localities as well, is without the inclusion of the registered agent, we can sometimes be sort of caught in a chase and not be able to access that communication. So the bill details say an owner or their registered agent.
As a follow-up question, I'm assuming that the city of Richmond, like many other localities across the Commonwealth of Virginia, have a method for contacting heirs.
Yes, absolutely. And so the bill just includes that after the property's been vacant for a period of 3 years, that there would be this registration.
Thank you for that clarification. Delegate Hodges.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And registered agent, I mean, what is that process to be a registered agent, and who would that be? And does each locality, have one particular person that's a registered agent?
My understanding, Madam Chair, is that all property owners may retain a registered agent, but are not required to. And that's Commonwealth-wide.
Correct. Delegate Hodges?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. As there are no further questions or comments before the subcommittee, is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support of the bill? Is there anyone, we do not have anyone listed online. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, and we do not have anyone listed online. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Move to report.
Second.
There is a motion to remove. A motion has been made a motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 802. The clerk will open the roll. You think it's 7 o'clock in the morning or something. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 802 reports on a vote of 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. The next bill, HB 806, continues my work of legislation from 2022 that granted the Economic Development Authorities the authority to issue performance grants for affordable housing. EDAs have done remarkably well with this authority, proving to be effective contributors in responding to our desperate need for more affordable housing supply. HB 806 expands this to give EDAs bonding authority for affordable housing production. Andrew Clark from the Home Builders is here to speak to this bill and answer more specific questions.
Madam Chair, Andrew Clark of the Home Builders Association. As the delegate said, we do support the bill. Happy to take questions. Happy to talk about the success of Richmond's program, or I can keep it very brief and go on from there. But this program really has become, I think, what will be seen as an alternative to a lot of more complicated policies across the state. I think in about a year and a half, they've produced 2,400 affordable units, I believe 400 at 50% below AMI, and the rest up to 80% AMI. So really successful program that we're hoping to expand through this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room? Well, actually, are there any comments or questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support of the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Again, I'm Rachel Heitman with the Department of Housing and Community Development with the City of Richmond. The City of Richmond thanks the patron for bringing this bill. We believe that empowering economic development authorities to issue bonds and loans for the construction of affordable housing would be a powerful tool to address the supply side of the affordable housing crisis. Since 2022, thanks to the patron's work, the City of Richmond has effectively partnered with our Economic Development Authority to provide grants for the development of affordable housing, creating a pipeline of over 2,900 affordable units in less than 4 years. Granting EDAs the power to issue bonds and loans enables all localities the ability to more efficiently use bonds and loans to support affordable housing. As localities have increasingly come to understand the relationship between housing and economic development, we have looked for ways to leverage EDAs to create incentives to increase the development of affordable housing. The City of Richmond supports this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Charlie Russ with the Northern Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and we support this bill because financing has never been simple with affordable housing, and this gives us another tool in the toolbox. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance, and we support the bill and thank the patron for bringing it.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, and we do not have anyone listed online. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Move to report.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 806. The clerk will open the roll and members will record their vote. The clerk will close the roll. Oh, sorry. The clerk will open the roll again so that Delegate Moorfield can vote. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 806 reports on a vote of 8-0. Thank you, Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee.
Chair Tran.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I do have an amendment that I have not talked to council ahead of time about, which just we were able to think through it this morning. It is on line 28, and it came to us from the Virginia Farm Bureau, so we really appreciate the suggestion. On line 28, after recycling facility, to add or anaerobic digester.
Can you describe?
Sure. An anaerobic digester is when bacteria breaks down organic matter in the absence of oxygen, and it produces things that are very helpful in moving on to the next stage of managing our trash.
Move the amendment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The amendment is before us.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have House Bill 1011. It is permissive and allows localities to adopt ordinances that require facilities generating at least 1 ton of food scraps per week and are located within 30 miles of a permitted composting or disposal facility to require the localities can require those facilities to divert their food scraps in a couple of different ways. Strategies to reduce food waste at the source, to donate edible food to local hunger relief organizations, or to compost or recycle organic waste at a nearby facility. Composting and some of these other strategies really helps to reduce what we put into landfills, extending the life of landfills, and also reducing the methane emissions from those landfills and helping us address some of the greenhouse gas issues that we face. And then recycling organic waste into valuable soil materials known as compost. House Bill 1011 also directs the Department of Environmental Quality, as part of its existing litter tax study, to examine ways to expand composting capacity statewide, or other ways that, including anaerobic digestion statewide. This includes addressing barriers to school composting, residential composting programs, and evaluating impacts of PFAS contamination and compost. And so we just think this bill helps to give localities a little bit more flexibility in addressing their waste, and also hopefully to help grow and lay the foundation for composting industries in Virginia. I welcome your questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of the subcommittee? Delegate Hodges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In looking at the bill, it directs locality that has adopted the ordinance to require a business generating at least 1 ton of organic waste weekly to compost such organic waste at a permitted facility, blah, 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 blah. What would be the cost of a business to do that?
Madam Chair, I would respond by saying that I think that we have seen, I think it all depends. Is business dependent? Virginia would not be the first to require would not be the first to allow localities to do this. But we've also seen some pretty simple ways as we daily interact, where you see, you have trash bins that say, for composting, for recycling, for regular waste, right? So I don't think necessarily it has to be a super involved process, but I think that businesses can approach it as they see fit.
And if I may,
Delegate Hodges.
Madam Chair, this says at least 1 ton of organic waste weekly. That's a tremendous amount. So putting that into little bins is not, to me, when I look at that, would be quite a task. And then it also mentions within 30 miles of a facility. So then you're looking at transport, the cost, and so forth. So I was just looking at the cost of, are they going to be charged for this waste? And what's the overall cost to the business in that scenario?
Madam Chair, I would respond to the delegate by saying I think that's for the locality to help figure out how to best create this business-friendly environment, but also balance the need to make sure that we are addressing the greenhouse gas emissions and general food waste. But by setting that up, like I said, I think, other states have moved in this direction. Our neighbor Maryland has, for example. So it is not a new issue for our localities to tackle how to do it. But it is a permissive bill, Madam Chair.
Delegate Helmer.
Madam Chair, I was literally going to ask that question. I just want to confirm this is a permissive bill. A locality has to make a decision that it wants to take this. It would do that in consultation with its business community, with its citizens, and it has the options at its disposal on how it's going to defray any new costs.
That's right, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there anyone in the audience who would wish to speak in support?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jay Ford of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, we're very excited about this piece of legislation. It was about 4 years back now when there was a joint retreat of the Ag and Natural Resources Committee, and DEQ got up and talked about what we were doing with our waste, where it was going. And at the time, they put a pie chart up, and they had a line on there to represent our composting, and it said less than 1%. And that was probably inaccurate at that. We have done a really negligible job when it comes to composting in the Commonwealth, despite tremendous environmental impacts from both methane, as mentioned, as well as leachate when this stuff makes its way into landfills. We're also turning our back on an amazing natural resource that could be going back into our land for our farmers. And so for all of these reasons, we think this is a great first step to jumpstart composting in the Commonwealth, and we hope you'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Fanny, Fairfax County. We just thank the delegate for bringing this forward. It helps Fairfax sees it as a potential tool to be able to meet some of our climate goals.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Committee, Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We really appreciate the patron for letting us have a last-minute amendment. We really appreciate the opportunity for some of this waste to go for animal feed. And Delegate Hodges, to let you know, to answer your question, that is happening by a lot of food processing currently with their waste. Farmers gladly, even from breweries, will take some of that waste and feed it to their animals, which is awesome. So it reduces costs, reduces waste. As well as we have a dairy member who has an awesome anaerobic digester that co-digests food waste with animal manure. And so that's why we really wanted to add this in here to provide that opportunity. So their locality, their schools, their businesses could know that is a local opportunity to be able to take their food waste. And they actually will do some separation of the non-organic and organic matter there, recycle what they can that's non-organic, and then all of that goes into the digester, which captures methane, reduces greenhouse gas emissions, and then is a carbon negative process to create renewable natural gas. So we really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Victoria Higgins, Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. We appreciate this bill because it helps divert organic waste from landfills and reduces methane, which is an even more potent greenhouse gas than carbon. So thanks very much to the patron. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson with Virginia LCV. The only thing I will add, my colleagues have given you plenty of information. This body passed an important litter tax study last session to take a look at all of the ways that we haven't been keeping up on our plastics issues in the Commonwealth. This is a really good and complementary step to that action that we took last year so that we can continue looking at the system as a whole and making advancements on how we get a handle on our waste issues. So for that, we ask you to support. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one individual online who wishes to provide testimony in support of the bill. That is Ms. Lincoln. Ms. Lincoln, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Close, Ms. Lakin. Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you so much. I love this bill so much that I'm joining you from the side of I-95 this morning. Allow me to say a few words in support. So again, Becky Lakin here in full support for HB 1011, first and foremost as a mother, then as an elected leader in Henrico with the Henricopolis Soil and Water Conservation District, a teacher within the School of Sustainability at Arizona State University, a nonprofit executive director that runs a mutual aid organization, and the owner of a small ranch in eastern Henrico. Yes, I know that sounds like a lot. It's all good. Here are the reasons for my support. Much like what others mentioned, but allow me to add, landfills across Virginia are running out of space, and expanding or building new ones is costly, controversial, and very unpopular. At the same time, we know that 20 to 30% of our waste stream is compostable, material that doesn't belong in a landfill. When buried without oxygen, it produces methane. As mentioned, when composted, it becomes a valuable soil amendment. This bill also supports, and this is really important to note, you all, this bill also supports food security at a critical moment. Federal changes are risking the health and well-being of millions of Virginians. When states like New York and Vermont enabled composting, food rescue increased significantly. In Vermont, food bank donations rose 40% in the first year alone. 40% in the first year alone. I've spoken with the Virginia Food Bank Federation, Feed More, and others. They're ready for this change and able to receive more food, working with the localities, and that's really important, working with the localities to plan distribution. As an elected director of the Henricopolis Soil and Water Conservation District and the steward of those 40 acres of flora and fauna, I'm deeply committed to soil health. It is the origin and protector of our aliveness. Compost at scale creates a powerful opportunity, as mentioned by others earlier, to support local food systems and build resilience by building healthy soils. You're not going to find a topic that is so intersectionally important as composting. So I would encourage you to please vote in favor to HB 1011 and then do more than that to push for composting in your districts. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, and we do not have anyone signed up to do so. The bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Move to report
Second.
as amended.
Amendment, yes, thank you. A motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 1011 as amended. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 1011 reports on a vote of 8-0 as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Next up, we have Delegate Cole.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I believe I have an amendment to.
Move the amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Where is this amendment?
Is it substitute or amendment?
We are on House Bill 1279. And he says he has an amendment. There's no amendment in the system. Do you want to describe your amendment?
All right, so the amendment is supposed to bring the bill in line with the Senate bill that's in relation, currently moving through the Senate, SB 388.
How about we take this by for a second? Like we have someone, we're going to take it by temporarily. I'm sorry.
The bill had line amendments, but the House bill and Senate bills are not identical, so line amendments don't work.
Okay. Mr. Sharp, do you mind stating that for the group?
Senator McPike's Senate bill is not identical to your House bill, so those line amendments do not work. His line amendments do not work for your bill. I don't know if it was your intent to make your bill identical to Senator McPike's
Correct.
bill.
Yes.
Okay, I actually have copies of Senator McPike's bill, which I could distribute if it was his intent, the delegate's intent, to make his bill identical to the Senate bill.
Okay, we're back before the committee. Delegate Cole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So going back to the original HB 1279, this HB 1279 creates a by right administrative approval path for affordable housing on land owned by property tax-exempt religious organizations and certain 501c3 nonprofits. It bars discretionary zoning hurdles like SUPs, rezonings, or special exceptions, and requires 60% of units affordable for 50 years. Makes the completed housing taxable unless locally exempted, and takes effect on September the 1st of 2026. That's what this bill does, but I want to speak why this bill is necessary. It's not just about zoning. It's a bill about what we mean when we talk about community, about faith, and about justice. Because for decades, our Commonwealth has mastered the art of delay. And while the question remains unanswered, where are the houses? Where are the homes? And in this instance, for God's people, or whoever God's people, the question is, I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me in. The scripture did not say I was hungry and you formed a committee to study this. It didn't say I was homeless and you scheduled another meeting. It didn't say I was poor and you told me to wait a minute while we try and figure it out. It said you welcomed me. HB 1279 is about whether we still believe that or not. This bill is simple. It says a church, a synagogue, a mosque, or a nonprofit who owns land, and they want to use that land to house working families, seniors, veterans. They should not have to spend years begging permission to do the right thing. The bill says if you want to serve the poor, if you want to serve people who need housing, we are not going to stand in your way. Because let's be honest, our housing shortages did not fall from heaven. It was a product of man. It was designed. It was planned. It was written into law. They drew red lines. They segregated uses. They segregated people, created exclusionary zoning, and communities were boxed out. Neighborhoods were erased. People told you do not belong here. And then we called it order. We put it into our code. We called it character, and we called it property values. But the Bible says something else, Madam Chair. It says in James 5:4, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. Those cries are still ringing. The ringing of the overcrowded tenements, the ringing in the car when the man has to spend another freezing night in his car because he doesn't have a place to sleep, and the ringing in the stories of the families that have moved out of the block because they were priced out. And too often, our response has been simply polite, sympathy, and practical inaction. And so HB 1279 puts some things into action. It says faith without works is dead. We're going to put some things behind it. And if communities want to build affordable housing, churches and nonprofits want to put people in houses, this bill will allow us to do that. I'm excited to be with us this morning Barrett Hardiman, who can also speak to the bill and answer any questions if any questions may arise. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none in the queue at this time. And I'm like waiting because you usually press it at the last second. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Barrett Hardiman on behalf of the Commonwealth Housing Coalition. We do support this bill. We've worked on it over the last year to improve a lot of the questions that came up and put some stronger guardrails on it. Housing development, one of the biggest costs is land, and these organizations are sitting on land that they could use to fulfill their mission to help their neighborhoods, and we would love for you to support this bill. I think there's some folks online who are actually experiencing this personally.
Okay, great. So given that we have an extensive line before us, and we also have quite a few individuals online who wish to provide testimony, usually we allow for 60 seconds, but we're going to take it to 30, because unless you have something new to say or just want to state your organization, that'd also be wonderful. Thank you.
I'm Wendy Ginsburg. Madam Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I'm Wendy Ginsburg. I'm from the city of Alexandria, and on behalf of the city, we support this. We support this legislation, and I think it reflects the values of our community, and thank the patron.
Thank you.
Hi, Chairwoman, members of the committee. Laura Dodds with Housing Opportunities Made Equal. We support the bill and thank the patron for carrying it.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Sheila Hurley-Hennessy with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, and I cannot tell you how great it is to come up after a preacher. It is true that all of our faith traditions have this call to welcome those in need, and this is a great way to enable faith communities to do that. There are at least 16 different projects around Virginia that have already taken place building affordable housing on their land, but many of them had to go through rezoning processes that lasted from 6 months to 3 years. So in order to get around that, we ask you to support the bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Christy Mara with the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we also strongly support the legislation.
Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair. Jared Calfee with AARP Virginia. We also support the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Scott Pedowitz with the Apartment and Office Building Association and Virginia Apartment Management Association, and we also support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference. Some of our churches are interested in this and working in partnership with Catholic Charities. Our charities receive a lot of calls, especially about housing, and this is another way that we can be part of the solution. So we urge you to pass the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Larissa Zara, housing attorney with Legal Aid Justice Center, and Legal Aid Justice Center supports the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Isabel McLean with the Virginia Housing Alliance, and we also support the bill and thank the patron.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole of Freedom, Virginia, and we strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Letty Hardy. I'm the mayor of Falls Church. And so I'll caveat that I don't, speaking for myself, and I'm not speaking for the entire governing body of Falls Church. I'm also on the board of VML, and so I'm not speaking for them. I was also the co-chair of the governor's transition committee on policy for housing, and so I don't speak for that either. But all that to say, I care a lot about housing. I've been in local elected office for 10 years now. I want to speak because I know that the work we do in Falls Church to address our housing shortage is critical, but we can only do so much locally. Our housing markets are regional, and so when an entire region works on increasing supply, the data shows it actually has 4 times the impact than a locality doing it alone. So clearly there needs to be more work now. I support a lot of these bills in concept. I think details do matter, and while zoning authority locally matters a lot, I do think statewide action is important as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm so sorry to cut you off.
Thank you.
All right, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people online who wish to speak in support. I'm going to go right down the list in front of me. John Musso, you have 30 seconds.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. John Musso with the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. We strongly support the bill as it is a smart, market-supportive solution to boosting the housing supply. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Chase Hatchett.
Morning, Madam Chair. I'm Chase Hatchett with the Housing Policy Initiative at the Pew Charitable Trust. We support HB 1279, which will bring much-needed new housing to Virginia. HB 1279 will protect the right of faith institutions and nonprofits to build housing on land they own. Virginia is facing a broad housing shortage, and all sources of additional housing are needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Julie Wilson-Black.
I'm Reverend Julie Wilson-Black, pastor of Fairlington Presbyterian Church in Alexandria. Our congregation successfully partnered with an affordable housing developer to build 90 affordable homes on what had been an underused parking lot next to our church. That project didn't just create needed housing, it strengthened the whole community. Faith in housing will help more congregations live the call to love their neighbors, and I ask for your support.
Thank you. Next, we have Alice Toole.
Hi, I'm Reverend Alice Toole from Clarendon Presbyterian Church in Arlington, and I'm speaking in support. My congregation has wanted to build 90 homes for seniors, a daycare, and a right-sized worship space, 2 blocks from the Clarendon Metro on land we've owned for 100 years. Without this legislation passing, we won't be able to. Faith in housing is about urgency and opportunity, ensuring mission-aligned land can serve people in need, rather than becoming another missed chance in an already compounding housing crisis. If we are not able to build, we might sell.
Next, we have Abby Forrester.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Abby Forster. I serve Community of Faith United Methodist Church in Fairfax County. We are actively in the midst of trying to build affordable housing and hope to build 157 affordable housing units on the excess land, total of 7 acres in Northern Virginia. But we've already confronted slowness and an uphill battle, status quo. And so we're proposing 93 homes with an unknown timeline for approval. We're at the very beginning of the process, and it is already exhausting and expensive. We cannot help dig our Commonwealth out of
Thank you so much, Mrs. Forrester.
Especially.
I'm so sorry to have to cut you off.
You're welcome.
It's
okay.
Next up, we have Ms. Catherine Reed.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Reed, a longtime affordable housing activist here in
Fairfax City. I'm also currently serving as mayor. I'm speaking to this bill because the Fairfax Presbyterian Church has been trying to build 10 affordable townhomes in our city, and they are in year 11. The delays associated with the zoning, which had required 5 public hearings, has made the townhouses so expensive they cannot serve the intended income bracket they were designed to serve, which is 40 to 60% AMI. We need this bill to remove a barrier, not to give carte blanche to these projects, because they still would require everything other
I'm so
housing
sorry to have
projects
to cut you
require.
off as
Please
well.
move this bill forward.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Miss Tracy Hardney.
Thank you so much. My name is Tracy Hardney Scott, and I am the housing chair for the Virginia State Conference NAACP. We strongly support this bill. Faith-based and nonprofit organizations have long been trusted community partners. This legislation will empower them to be a part of a serious solution to address our housing crisis. And so we stand in support of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition?
Madam Chair, Joe Lurch with the Virginia Association of Counties. And first, I want to thank the patron and the patrons on the Senate side for engaging us in conversations and looking forward to seeing, what can happen with legislation as it moves forward. At the end of the day, our concerns with the bill is it's creating a one-size-fits-all. And when you do it by right in certain areas, there's issues related to infrastructure, water, sewer, and roads that need to be addressed. I will say that many of our members are working with faith-based communities and others on trying to get unused or underutilized land for the highest and best use for the communities in which they serve. And so for those reasons, we do oppose the bill. So thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Patron, we're sorry we have to be standing up and speaking against the bill. We've been at the table with the patron and with the other patrons. Virginia Chapter of the American Planning Association is concerned about the broad brush approach. I'll give you a fine detail. Zero lot line is part of the bill across the state. Rural subdivision, zero lot line on a corner lot has a safety impact on the intersection.
So
I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Brent McKenzie with the City of Virginia Beach, and we just wanted to add our voice of opposition here. We don't believe that a one-size-fits-all is a good result for the City of Virginia Beach. We have hundreds and hundreds of churches in our city, many of them in neighborhoods, and we just think this sort of legislation that gives them this by right use really circumvents the planning process and leads to additional suburban sprawl that we're just not prepared to handle. So we'd appreciate your opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Subcommittee. Michelle Gowdy from the Virginia Municipal League. For all the reasons you heard, we also oppose the bill. We really don't believe that one size fits all, especially for our small towns that may have the church as their signature building in town, and we think that there's better solutions that can be handled locally. So thank you. Thank you.
We have 2 individuals signed up online who wish to speak against the bill. First up, we have Miss Cindy Mester.
Good morning. Given the short time, I will say I will put some comments in writing to the committee, but I appreciate this opportunity on behalf of the City of Falls Church Council, who actually is neutral on this position, but support or opposition was a hard choice for me. Totally support affordable housing, really want to work with the stakeholders as we have in the past. I think there's other bills before the General Assembly that can address the issues like House Bill 584, expedited processing, which has already passed the House floor twice.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to have to cut you off. And last,
so we are neutral and want to resolve. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Angie.
Yes, hi, Ann Gregorian, thank you. Stuffing houses into every nook and cranny doesn't work in every locality. Rezoning processes, while many don't agree, that they're fast enough, they do protect all voices in a community to petition their local government. Elections, not mandates, are the answer to this problem of zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. The bill is back before the subcommittee. Delegate Simons.
Madam Chair, since we know this bill is moving in a different posture in the Senate, I move to amend it with a reenactment clause so that we can force it into conference and continue to work on this policy throughout the legislative process.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have been moved and properly seconded to report House Bill 1279 with amendment.
A reenactment.
The clerk will open the roll. Oh. The bill reports on a vote of 5-3.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Next up, we have Delegate McClure.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I have HB 524, and this bill would update Virginia's Tourism Improvement District Code to allow my locality, Arlington County, the option to adopt a tourism improvement district, which would serve as more of a public-private partnership model than the county's current destination marketing organization structure. This would not interfere with any other locality's ability to operate under the current existing TID or DMO structure. It would simply provide Arlington with another option. This bill comes at the request of Arlington County's economic development community with the support of the hospitality sector and the broader business community. My home county of Arlington is one of the few localities in Virginia that has its official destination marketing organization, otherwise known as a DMO, as a division within the local county government rather than as a private nonprofit organization. This bill would update the Virginia TID code to enable the county's DMO to work in close partnership with a yet-to-be-established tourism improvement district to supercharge tourism promotion for Arlington County. Updating the TID code will grant Arlington County with the flexibility to increase its resources and capacity for tourism promotion, driving demand to local hotels and businesses. Madam Chair, this bill would also allow the cap on Arlington's dedicated transient occupancy tax surcharge to be increased from 0.25% to up to 1%, serving as a funding bridge while a TID is being established. These funds must be dedicated solely for the use in tourism promotion, and similar surcharges around the Commonwealth actually range above that from 2 to 4%. Ultimately, this would add 2 new tools to Arlington County's tourism promotion toolbox to expand local government and hospitality industry efforts to conduct destination marketing and generate local visitor spending without having to burden its residents. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I hope it is the will of the subcommittee to vote in favor of HB 524, and I have some folks from Arlington County who can provide some technical assistance should there be any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the subcommittee? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in support of the bill?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Chris Lane with Southcliff Strategies, representing Arlington County. Increased tourism in Arlington boosts both local revenues and state revenues. As Virginia's #2 county for visitor spending in 2024, Arlington and its hospitality community generated more than $177 million in local revenue and $86 million in state revenue. The additional option to establish a tourism improvement district like Richmond's successful Richmond Regional Tourism TID will strengthen these efforts. We thank the patron for introducing this bill on behalf of Arlington County, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Great to see you, members of the committee. Rita McClenney, CEO of Virginia Tourism. We are in support of the bill. Virginia needs a strong tourism economy, and this tool will support Arlington's growth and also support other hotels and hospitality businesses and small businesses and large as well. So we think it's a great policy. And TID is working very well in Richmond. and I know Arlington can follow in their footsteps. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further individuals who wish to speak in person in support, we are going to go to online testimony. We have John Musso.
Good morning again, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. John Musso with the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. We support HB 524 and thank the patron for sponsoring this. As mentioned, this will provide 2 new tools to the tourism promotion toolbox for Arlington County. Increased tourism would lead to not just a stronger local and regional economy, but greater local and state tax revenue, which would benefit Virginians across the Commonwealth. So we strongly support this bill and look forward to working with the hospitality sector for whichever choice they ultimately make. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Ms. Emily Cassell.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm Emily Cassell, Director of the Arlington County Convention and Visitor Service. These 2 new avenues for dedicated tourism promotion funding that would be enabled by HB 524 will help Arlington County and its hospitality community better compete with destinations outside Virginia for new meeting, group, and leisure business that benefits Arlington, local businesses, and the Commonwealth. I'm also here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. The bill is back before the subcommittee. Delegate Simons.
Move to report.
Second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 524. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 524 reports on a vote of 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee.
Delegate Shen.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
There is a substitute that's been prepared, and I think council and/or clerk might have it ready to either make it go live online or pass it out to you in person.
Delegate Shin, while council pulls up the substitute, would you like to describe it really quick?
Sure. The substitute actually just makes it exactly identical to what passed out of the local government committee on the Senate side. Senator Boysko and I have town charter amendments, and so this just gets them into alignment, essentially. But the body of, or like the nature of the bill does not change.
Great. Delegate Simons.
Move the substitute.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, the amendment is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So HB 887 is a request to change the town charter at the request of the town council, and it primarily accomplishes 3 major objectives. The first is in lots of town charters or city charters, there is a residency requirement for the town manager to live within the city limits. I think more and more frequently, we have been seeing lots of town charters and city charters amend that piece because sometimes that residency requirement can be too inflexible. And so we address that here by allowing the council to directly be able to negotiate with town manager applicants on the residency, on where they want them to live. The second is we clarify that the council is authorized to appoint 2 officers, and that's the town manager and the town attorney. And everybody else who works for the town is appointed or hired by the town manager, and that solely lives in the responsibility of the town manager. And finally, there's a section of the code or of the charter that is pretty old and says that the town of Herndon has a school board. Given that the town has no schools that we oversee, all of our kids go to Fairfax County schools, it seems like an unnecessary and outdated provision of the charter that we're hoping to repeal. And that, Madam Chair, is HB 887.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support? Seeing none, we have 2 individuals online. We have Ms. Yates.
Good morning. I would defer to our Mayor LeBlanc. I'm here in case there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Mayor LeBlanc.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for reviewing this. As Delegate Shin, our patron, has stated, this was unanimously supported by the entire council, and we've received no negative comments from public. It really is about cleaning up for equity and modern legal employment practices in terms of the current state of the town, where we're going. I sit in the middle of town, and the town of Herndon is 4.2 square miles. If I move in 1 mile in any direction, I'm outside of the town of Herndon, but for several miles beyond that, I'm still in Herndon. So the restrictions and enabling us as a council body to really assess and negotiate with the town manager is critical for getting the right candidates, given the housing issues in Northern Virginia and that very limited geography of the town of Herndon. And as Delegate Shen mentioned, the school board and other things are about cleaning up where we are today.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition to House Bill 887? Seeing none, and we do not have anyone listed online, the bill is back before the subcommittee. Delegate Simons.
Move to report as substituted.
Second.
There's been a motion to report House Bill 887 with amendment in the nature of a substitute, and a second has been made. The bill, we will now cast our votes on the electronic voting system. It's just taking a minute. System's just being a little funky.
This is why I sub number 1, not number 2. I broke the system. I don't. Yeah. Yay.
The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 887 reports with substitute on a vote of 8-0. Thank you,
Madam Chair and members.
And last but not least, we have House Bill 1395. Delegate Converse Fowler.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate.
HB 1395 seeks to allow children through the Commonwealth to have a little extra time of trick-or-treating. HB 1395 prohibits restrictions on the activity known as Halloween trick-or-treating based on age in localities that are in excess of loitering and curfew provisions in those localities. It's pretty simple, Madam Chair. I hope that it is the will of the subcommittee to let the kids have a little extra time to be kids and to participate in the activity of trick-or-treating. And I will say that the middle schoolers across the Commonwealth will absolutely support this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. We have no one signed up to provide virtual testimony in support or in opposition to the bill, but we will ask anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support to the bill to step to the podium.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Subcommittee. Ryan O'Toole with Freedom, Virginia. We think this is a great freedom bill and hope you support.
Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, the bill is back before the subcommittee.
Madam Chair,
Delegate Simons.
I move to report with a reenactment clause.
So you'd like to make an amendment?
Yes, with an amendment.
I'll second it.
So we first need to approve the amendment and make sure this is deemed a friendly amendment by the patron.
I'm at the will of the committee, so thank you, Madam Chair.
I move a friendly amendment, which is a reenactment clause.
And I second it.
You'd like to study this a little bit more for public safety purposes?
Yes.
Okay. Noted. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Seeing none, now that the amendment is before us, we have a motion to with amendment.
With amendment.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
It has been moved and probably seconded to report House Bill 1395 as amended. The clerk will open the roll. The clerk will close the roll. House Bill 1395 reports as amended. Thank you, Delegate. As there's no further items before the subcommittee, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? The meeting's adjourned.